know, back in the day when I was still with the army. What are you doing?
Nothing.
Are you pandering to your audience again? No, I would never do that. No? Then why the f is all the oil out?
Because it attracts the Americans.
What? I can't hear you. I said because it attracts the Americans. What do you want from me? Dude, just go to the f***ing gym if you're not gonna work. Alright. You don't have to be such an ass about it. Hello, welcome back, my favorite YouTube movement enthusiasts, to another installment of, I already told you in the title, what we're gonna be doing today. Joints. By far my favorite pastime, but also very important when it comes to increasing your Lebensqualität, your life quality, because damage to your joint and degeneration in your joints can lead to a lot of problems, especially for people who work a lot of strength training, hypertrophy, or even just do calisthenics and do not work on their joints. So today we're going to go through each and every single one of our joints with a mobility exercise, so you don't have to look for other routines and have one that you can work every single day. And if you want some more advanced stuff, you can check out some of the focused routines that work more with a single joint or a single muscle. But if you're ready, we'll get right into it. So we're gonna start at the very bottom and move our way up there, starting with our ankles. Now, we're not gonna work on our specific foot joints, but we will be including them in the exercise that we're doing, and it's gonna be very interesting to see if you do have the mobility or how much you need to work on it to get there. We're gonna start in a seated position like so, bring both of our hands backwards, and we wanna roll backwards over our toes, bring our feet flat to the ground, and then reverse this whole movement again. Now you will have noticed that we're not just working our ankles, but we're also including our toes and every single joint that we have in our feet with this movement. For one, we're going to be stretching the front and back side of our feet, but also we are combining this with ankle movement. Here we are shortening our Achilles tendon and our gastroc and soleus while lengthening our tibialis, which are the muscles that are connected here. And then we're gonna go backwards and do the exact opposite. Now we are stretching our Achilles tendon and the lower insertions of our soleus and gastroc while flexing our tibialis to stay upright, because if we didn't do that and we didn't have enough core strength, we would fall backward. If you need an easier level for that, we can start out like so. Bring your knees to the ground and back up again. Knees to the ground and back up again. Over time, you can roll over fully, put them down, and reverse the whole movement once more. Which moves us to our knees and the joint that probably causes the most amount of problems. So we're gonna start out in a deep squat position. If you cannot deep squat, here is a tutorial on how to do that. If you can, however, this is gonna be our starting position, because that's very important for the exercise that we're gonna be doing. We're gonna bring our hands behind our head for extra core engagement, and we're gonna do knee touches. First to the middle, then to the outside, and do the same thing with the other leg. To the middle, to the outside, and now you have noticed that we're still in a bent position, which is why we're gonna extend both our knees in a forward fold or plank, reverse into a deep squat position, and repeat. Knee touch to the middle, knee touch to the outside, and extend. Back to deep squat, to the other side. There you go. To the outside, to the middle, and extend. I know this is a little bit of a harder exercise, but over time, you're gonna get there. If this is the lowest you can go in a squat, there is no problem in trying to touch down from here. You don't have to get all the way to the ground. Your range of motion is gonna increase over time. With staying up here, at least you have the added benefit of building massive strength in your quads and hamstrings and glutes, which we're gonna need anyway. Which moves us to our hip joints, or the joints that don't lie. Now there are multiple exercises we could be doing, but once again I want you to start out in a deep squat position And from here, this is going to be one of the more interesting exercises because we have a nice range of motion, not only for our hips, but since our knees and ankles also have to move when we move our hip joints in these positions, we have an added bonus of including the last two joints as well. So once more, hands are behind our head, deep squat position here. And now level number one. Bring your knees almost to the ground and pull them in again. This is going to not only teach you a little bit more mobility, but also a lot of control. You can play with it. Move to the left side, move to the right side. Never really touch down. Stay up here and reverse. Next level of this exercise, we're going to bring both knees to the ground and push our pelvis forward. We're going to stretch our hip flexors just a little bit. And depending on your mobility or lack thereof, you're going to even feel a stretch in your quadriceps. Push forward and reverse. Now we also have added contraction in our spine, and we're going to repeat this by increasing the range of motion when pushing forward and leaning backwards. So now we have a stretch in our hip flexors and flexion to bring our legs up. There you go. All the way back and all the way up. If you're lacking the core strength to do this, there's absolutely no problem in using your hands to help you move from here, down here, push forward, and reverse, using a little bit of compensation. For the full exercise, hands behind our head. There you go, knees down to the ground in a controlled fashion. Push your pelvis forward, lean back as far as you can, and forward, and pull in your knees once more, which moves us up to our spine. And it is very obvious that the chosen exercise for this one should definitely be the switch between the cow pose and the cat pose, moving from spinal extension like so, opening our hands sideways, turning our elbows backwards so we have more lat and back musculature engagement, and then switching into spinal flexion, turning our hands inwards, lengthening our shoulders, flexing our spine, pushing our pelvis forward, and letting the head hang loose. And switch from here, open up into the cow and reverse the movement into the cat. And repeat this whole process a couple of times. And I've said this so often, but I would recommend doing this exercise every single day, especially for people who sit for prolonged periods of time and have a lot of stiffness in their back and consequently in their hips and shoulders. This should help tremendously. And while we are on the topic of shoulders, that is exactly the next joint we're going to be working, starting out in exactly the same position we did before. On all fours, our hands turned outwards, and this exercise is going to have a little bit more movement, starting with scapular adduction and abduction. So basically pulling your shoulder blades together and then lengthening them. From here, we're gonna sit back all the way, extending our shoulders, pushing our upper body towards the ground and moving forward again. Adduction, abduction, and then into the other direction. So now we have to hold up our bodies and moving from here into adduction, abduction, backwards, push your entire body down towards the ground. We want to have a nice little stretch in the front side of our delts and our chest. If you're not feeling it from here, then you can raise your knees to get more of a push, and the further you move upwards with your butt, the more you're gonna have this nice little stretch in your shoulders and chest. So moving to the front, adduction, abduction, and pushing our hips down. Reverse, adduction, abduction, and pushing our chest down. Which brings us to our elbows. And while there aren't too many exercises that focus on elbow mobility, because there isn't much to do, you have extension, and most people can flex their elbow enough to touch their shoulders. So it's not really a mobility problem. However, there will be a strength problem in combining the musculature of your forearm and your upper arm. So this is exactly what we're going to be focusing on, and it's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to start out in the same position I started out in before, and we're going to do triceps dominant arm extensions. You can call them push-ups if you want to, but due to the lack of range of motion here, I would not be comfortable calling this a full push-up. However, what you can do is bring your arms down, move forward, touch your shoulders to your hands, move backwards, extend, bring them down. And while this is not really a mobility exercise, it is definitely a combination of strength, endurance, and flexibility together. Down, reverse, extend. If you are having problems doing this in a push-up position or in a plank starting position, you can very well bring your knees down here and work with your knees on the ground. Extend your arms and come back down again. Extend your arms and come back down again. And if you have the time, you catch the cat and you do a couple of scratchies, because they love the scratchies, and the scratchies are also pretty good for your own joints. You have to always take some time, enjoy your mobility work, and give the cat the scratches it deserves. And last, but definitely not least, we have to work on our wrists. I see this a lot in some of my yoga classes where people tend to have pain when they go into positions where there is a lot of pressure on the wrists, be it for instance like a downward dog-like position, or be it a position where we really go into full body pressure onto our wrists. And some people struggle with that, which is why we're going to take care of it. Starting once again in this position, we have the hands on the ground, flat. We're going to move forward without the hand raising, and backward just a little bit. You can decide how much pressure you want to put onto this. And once we're done with forward, we're going to move sideways to the left, to the right. A couple of repetitions, and then we're going to turn our fingers towards our knees and do the same thing. Forward and backwards, forward and backwards. Now we're also going to turn our hands to the inside, move sideways, and you might think that we are done, but now we have to repeat the whole process again with the back of our hands. And here you really have to be careful how much pressure you're using. Forward and backwards. To the inside with our hands, turning to our knees with our hands, forward and backward, short range of motion, just the tiniest bit of pressure, and of course to the outside, left and right, left and right. And even though that makes me look like an idiot, it is really good for my wrists, and I need my wrists, and so do you. Your own wrists, not mine. So now we've gone through every single joint in our body, and we did it combining mobility and the tiniest bit of strength and flexibility, just so we have an all-round routine that we can work on a daily basis. With that said, however, this is all the time I have left for you today. If you liked the video, like the video and subscribe, and check out other videos, because this is how the algorithm works. And I will see you tomorrow, because we have new videos every single day on this channel. Captain Cairo, peace out.